I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here we are. My name's Mark, and I've been with my wife Jennifer for about 8 years now. We met young, fell for each other fast, and seemed pretty solid, at least on the surface. She's got that fiery, bitchy attitude that some people find charming. I always thought it was part of her charm. She's got this way of talking that's sharp, sarcastic, and sometimes downright mean, but I loved her for it. Or at least I thought I did. The trouble started maybe 6 months ago. Small stuff at first. She'd get secretive about her phone, hide texts. Nothing outright obvious, but enough to make me suspicious. I didn't want to believe it. Jennifer's response to my questions was always bitchy, dismissive, like I was bothering her. "God, Mark, you're overthinking again," she'd say with that eye roll. "You're paranoid. I don't have time for this." Her attitude made me feel like I was just crazy for even questioning her. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. Then came the little signs that I couldn't ignore anymore. She'd come home late from work, but her work was always really busy lately. She'd leave her phone open on the counter, and I'd see texts pop up, short, flirty, random things. Nothing explicit, but enough to know she was definitely playing with fire. I'd ask her about it, and she'd snap at me, call me insecure, tell me I was imagining things, that she was tired of my accusations. Honestly, I started feeling like I was losing my mind. It was like trying to hold onto a ghost. But what really pushed me over the edge was the night I decided to check her phone after she went to bed. I'd been feeling off for days, and I just wanted to see if she was hiding something. I found a text thread with some guy named Ryan, one of her coworkers. The messages were flirty as hell, talking about how she couldn't wait to see him, how hot he looked, how she was so tired of me, and how she needed something more exciting. I read all this, and my stomach dropped. I felt like someone had punched me in the gut. That was the moment I knew for sure she was cheating. But I didn't confront her. Then I just sat there holding her phone, feeling so many things: anger, betrayal, heartbreak. I needed to process it all. I never thought I'd be the guy whose wife cheats on him, especially not with someone like my own brother, Jake. Yeah, Jake, my brother. I found out a few weeks ago that they'd been seeing each other behind my back for months. The worst part, Jennifer told me she was just confused, that she didn't love Jake, that it was just sex, that it didn't mean anything. She said I was overreacting, that I was insecure and jealous. That's when I realized how much of a lie everything had been. All the times she said she loved me, all those quiet nights, the family vacations, even the little arguments where she'd call me a jealous loser. Was it all fake? Did she ever really love me? Or was I just some comfort she settled for while she was out screwing around with Jake? The whole thing felt like a sick joke, and I was left standing there, crushed and furious, wondering if I ever truly knew who she was. After I found out about her affair with Jake, everything changed. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I kept going over the moments in our life, trying to find signs I missed, clues I ignored. The worst part was the betrayal, not just the fact she cheated, but that she did it with my own brother, the guy I grew up with, trusted, even loved like family. It was a punch to the stomach every time I thought about it. I felt like I was living in some kind of nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I remember the night I decided I had to confront her. I was pissed. I'd caught her lying more times than I could count, and I knew the truth now. When she got home that evening, she was her usual bitchy self, snapping at me for asking questions about her busy day. I didn't hold back. I just threw her phone on the table and said, "We need to talk." Her reaction was a mix of shock and defiance. She looked at the phone, then at me, like she was trying to figure out how I found out. Her eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about, Mark? You're crazy. You always jump to conclusions. You're insecure." I didn't bother to be polite anymore. I just told her everything. About the texts, the nights she spent at Jake's house, how I knew they'd been sleeping together for months. Her face twisted into that snide smirk she always used when she was lying her ass off. "Oh, please, that's bullshit. We're just friends. We had a few drinks, that's all. You're blowing it out of proportion. You always do." I was furious. I told her I knew about Jake, about the affair, about her lies. Her response: she rolled her eyes, scoffing, and said, "You're so insecure, Mark, it's pathetic. Maybe if you paid more attention to me instead of obsessing over your assumptions, you'd see I'm the one who's been loyal. But no, you want to play detective. You're just jealous because I don't give you what you want anymore." Her words hit me like a slap. She looked so damn confident, so dismissive, like I was the one in the wrong, not her. It was infuriating. I stood there trembling with rage and sadness, feeling like I was losing grip on reality. How could she lie so easily? How could she pretend nothing was wrong? I felt betrayed at every level, by her, by Jake, and even by myself for not noticing sooner. I wanted to scream, to cry, to do something that would make her see how much she'd hurt me, but all I could do was stare at her, trying to process what was happening. I knew then I had to make a decision, whether to fight for this broken marriage or walk away. But I didn't have the strength to decide right then. I just felt hollow, like my entire world was crumbling around me. The days that followed that confrontation were a blur. I couldn't sleep, couldn't focus. Every time I saw her, I felt this boiling mix of anger and heartbreak. She kept insisting it was just sex, that she hadn't loved Jake, and that I should stop acting so jealous and insecure. I couldn't believe her. How could she lie so easily? How could she justify betraying me like that? I started questioning everything, her words, her actions, our entire relationship. Was any of it real? Did she ever truly love me, or was I just a placeholder until she found someone better? I decided I needed to see Jake for myself. I wanted to know how deep this went, how far she'd gone, so I set up a little sting. I followed Jake one evening when he said he was going out. We had that kind of shitty, instinctive thing you do when you're angry and lost, stalking, trying to catch him in the act. It wasn't easy. I felt sick the entire time, my stomach knotting with every mile I followed him. Eventually, I saw his car pull into her driveway. That's when I knew for sure she was lying about the just sex bullshit. When I finally confronted her about seeing Jake's car in our driveway, she flipped out. "You're stalking me now? Seriously, Mark. You're crazy," she yelled, trying to dismiss everything. But I had proof, photos on my phone, her texts, the fact that I'd personally seen her with him. She tried to gaslight me, saying I was paranoid and jealous, that I was ruining everything. That's when I realized how good she was at lying, at twisting everything around to make herself the victim. I felt like I was drowning in a storm of betrayal. The worst was how she kept denying everything, calling me paranoid, saying I was losing it. Her voice was bitchy and sharp, like she enjoyed throwing her lies in my face. I was furious. How could she be so cold, so dismissive? But at the same time, I felt crushed. I loved her, I really did, and now I was questioning if I ever really knew her at all. It was like I'd been living with a stranger all these years, someone who was just pretending to be the perfect wife but was secretly screwing my brother and lying to my face. That night I sat alone in the dark, realizing I couldn't keep going like this. Every day was a new lie, a new betrayal. My mind kept circling back to the question, what did I do to deserve this? How did I miss all the signs? Was I just blind? I felt so stupid for trusting her, for thinking we had something real. It was like she'd been cheating on me from the start, and I was just too stupid to see it. The pain was overwhelming, and I knew I had a choice. I could keep trying to fix this mess, or I could walk away and save what's left of myself. Honestly, I didn't know what was worse. The next step was inevitable. I had to face her again, but this time with everything out in the open. I couldn't keep pretending like I didn't know. I wanted to hear her explain herself, even if I already knew the worst. She was sitting on the couch when I got home, her arms crossed, that bitchy smirk on her face like she was already winning. I didn't hold back. I threw her phone on the table and told her I knew about Jake, about how long they'd been sleeping together and how she'd lied to my face every step of the way. Her reaction was instant. She rolled her eyes, scoffed, and said, "Mark, you're insane. You're just jealous because I don't want you anymore. Jake's just sex, that's all it was. Nothing serious, just a stupid mistake." Her voice was dismissive, like she was bored of the whole thing. I could barely believe what I was hearing. She kept insisting she loved me, that I was paranoid, insecure, and that I was ruining everything with my accusations. I told her I didn't believe her, that she'd been lying from the start, that she'd been cheating on me with my own brother. And here, where she really flipped the script, she looked right at me with that bitchy glare and said, "You don't get to control my life, Mark. If I want to screw whoever I want, I will. And honestly, I don't care what you think anymore. You're just a boring, insecure loser who can't satisfy me." That word, loser, cut deep. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. It was the first time she really admitted she didn't love me, not really, just used me for stability while she did whatever the hell she wanted. I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I told her I was done pretending, done trying to fix what was clearly broken beyond repair. I said I was leaving, that I'd file for divorce, that I'd take everything she cared about. Her reaction? She just shrugged, said I was making a huge mistake, that she'd be just fine without me, that she'd move on, get some other guy, maybe Jake. Honestly, part of me wanted to smash her face in right then, but I just turned and walked out, feeling the weight of everything crashing down. That night I stayed up all night, thinking about the betrayal, the lies, and how she turned out to be so different from the woman I thought I knew. I felt numb, like someone had ripped my life apart with a single blow. The next morning I started making plans. I knew I couldn't keep living with this pain and dishonesty. I had to get out. I decided I'd go to a lawyer, start the process, and leave her to deal with the fallout. But more than anything, I was hurt. Deep down, I kept asking myself, how could she do this to me, to us? How could she betray me with my own brother and then lie straight to my face? It felt like I'd been punched in the stomach over and over, an emotional assault I couldn't shake. In the days that followed, I threw myself into planning my escape. I couldn't stay in that house anymore, not with her cold attitude and the constant reminder of her betrayal lurking around every corner. I started packing my things secretly, trying to keep everything quiet. I didn't want her to know how serious I was until I was ready. Honestly, I felt like I'd been shattered into 1,000 pieces, but I knew I had to be strong. I had to get out of this toxic situation and rebuild myself. One evening, I finally sat her down and told her I was leaving for good. Her reaction was as smug as ever. She rolled her eyes and said, "Fine, go. See if I care. You're just a jealous, insecure little boy who can't handle the truth." The way she said it made my blood boil. I felt like I was talking to a stranger, not the woman I'd loved. Her bitchiness was on full display, and I realized how much she'd been hiding behind that sharp tongue all along. I told her she could keep the house, keep whatever she wanted, but I was done. I was tired of being manipulated, lied to, and used. I had already contacted a lawyer that day and was arranging to file for divorce. When I said I was leaving, she didn't even try to stop me. Instead, she looked at me with that cold, bitchy expression and said, "Good riddance. You're better off without me. You're pathetic." That was the moment I knew she had zero remorse, zero regret. She was just glad to see me go, probably already planning her next move with Jake or someone else. I left that night, feeling like I was walking out of my own life. I stayed at a friend's place for a few days, trying to get my head straight. But the emotional damage was deep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her smirking, heard her lies, and thought about everything I'd lost. I started questioning everything. Was I ever really happy? Did I ever even know her? Or was she just playing a long game all along? The betrayal cut so deep that I wondered if I'd ever be able to trust someone again. Looking back now, I realize I learned some hard lessons. Trust is fragile, and sometimes people hide who they really are behind a bitchy smile and clever lies. I also learned that revenge doesn't always have to be loud or violent. Sometimes walking away, cutting ties, and rebuilding your life from scratch is the biggest win you can get. It's a long road, and I'm still healing, but I know I'll be okay. Just wish I'd seen the signs sooner. That's the real shame, how blind I was to what was really going on behind her bitchy attitude and fake smiles. Now, looking back, I realize how much this entire experience has changed me. I used to think I knew everything about her, about us, but it turns out I was just fooling myself. Trusting someone isn't just about believing their words. It's about seeing their actions clearly, and I missed the signs. The worst part isn't even her cheating with Jake or her lying to my face. It's how she managed to keep up the act for so long, how she played me like a fool. That bitchy attitude, her sharp tongue, the dismissiveness, they were all masks hiding her real self. Honestly, I don't hate her. I feel sorry for her in a way. She's the one who's lost now, not me. I've got a long road ahead, but I'm finally free from her toxicity. I've learned that some people are just masters at deception, and you've got to be smarter. I also learned that revenge isn't about revenge at all. It's about freeing yourself from the pain and knowing your worth. Walking away was the best thing I could have done. I've started focusing on myself, therapy, new hobbies, reconnecting with friends I pushed aside during our marriage. I don't want to be that guy who's bitter and full of resentment forever, but I do want to be cautious. This kind of betrayal leaves scars, but I refuse to let it define me. I still wonder what kind of woman she really was behind the bitchy veneer. Was she ever genuine? Or was she always just pretending, even to herself? I guess I'll never know for sure, and at this point I don't really care. What I do know is this: I'm better off without her. I'm stronger than I thought I was, and I'm determined to rebuild my life piece by piece. It's not easy, and I won't pretend I've moved past everything. Some nights, I still feel the sting of betrayal. But I've learned that the best revenge is living well, and that's what I plan to do. No more lies, no more games, and no more pretending I don't see what was really going on. I'm finally free, and honestly, that feels pretty damn good.